Hello everyone. So today's notes are going to be on the coordinate plane. Now, the coordinate plane should be somewhat a review from 5th grade, but we're also going to introduce a couple new items. So this is what is known as the coordinate plane. All right, and we have some labels we need to set up. The horizontal line here is your x-axis, and the vertical line is known as your y-axis. Now, where the points intersect, this is very important. This point here is known as the origin. And this point, the coordinates are 0, 0. Now, when I refer to coordinates, there's another name for these. They are known as an ordered pair. So an ordered pair is in the format of x, y, where our x-axis will come first, and then our y. So if I wanted to plot 1, 3, well, that means I would go over 1, and then, so over 1 and up, 1, 2, 3. Now, let's talk about what we know. We know the square over to the right, this section here. This is what is known as quadrant 1. Where our x-axis, we have positive numbers, as well as on our y-axis. So once again, this is not new to us. This is something we know. Now, what is new to us is this section over here. This is what is known as quadrant 2. And I'm going to abbreviate that. Now, what is new about quadrant 2 is, since we know about negative numbers, are going to the left of 0, we're going to write in our negatives. So I have -1, -2, -3, -4, -5. So if I look at quadrant 2, my x-axis is going to be negative, and my y-axis will be positive. The next section below is what is known as quadrant 3. Where our x-axis is negative, just like quadrant 2, but my y-axis, since we're going below 0, is going to be negative as well. So when it comes to graphing, we do very well with quadrant 1 and quadrant 3 because in 1, they're both positive, in 3, they're both negative. It's quadrant 2 and what's known as quadrant 4 where we get things mixed up. So in quadrant 4, if I look, my x-axis is positive, my y-axis is negative. So what we are going to expect you to be able to do at this point in time is plot your coordinates. You're also going to need to be able to identify what quadrant a point is in. So for example, if I gave you the point of -1, 3, well, you know your x is negative and my y is positive, so you should be able to tell me that that point is in quadrant 2. Eventually, later on this year, we will be doing some graphing, but we have to understand how this coordinate plane works in order to do that. All right, so right now I want us to practice some graphing. So if you want to pause the video and try it on your own, I want you to graph the origin. So where would the origin be? Hopefully you pause your video. If you pay attention to the last slide, we know the origin is right there in the middle at 0, 0. So the next point I have is -2, 3. Take a moment, pause the video, figure out what quadrant it would go in and where. Hopefully you paused. So -2 is in the X spot, so that means I have to go over to -2. And then I have graph 3, so I need to go up 1, 2, 3. So this point can be found here in quadrant 2. All right, the next one, let's see if we can trick you. I have graph -1.5, -4. Hopefully, based on our signs, we know which quadrant this should go in. Go ahead and pause your video and give it a try. All right, so we know since we have two negatives that it has to go down here in quadrant 3. Now, -1.5, all right, I know this is in between -1 and -2, so I'm going to go right here in the center. And then it says to go down -4, so I'm going to move down -1, -2, -3, -4. And that is where my graph will go, or my coordinate will go. Please make sure, be careful, don't put the dot where the number is. You want to go based off the lines, okay? The number may not be exactly on the line, so that's why they're there. All right. And the last one, maybe, we may have one more for you to do, is graph 2.5, -3. So go ahead and pause the video, try that on your own. All right, hopefully you paused the video. So I see that I have a positive 2.5, so that means I am going over 2.5. And I see that negative, so that tells me to go down 3. So this coordinate can be found here in quadrant 4. All right, so graphing, what we get messed up on is sometimes we want to do the y first, okay? You got to do your x-axis first. So let's talk about your homework assignment for today. If you head on over to Google Classroom, underneath classwork, okay, you'll find your homework assignment, the coordinate plane homework. So if I click on that, all right, I have some questions to fill out where I have to identify points on the graph, and I have to know what quadrants they're in. This will be due by the next time we meet.